My name is C.H. Morrison, and I'm from New York, and I'm a trapeze artist.
What happens after the curtain's last call, when laughter fades and only true friends remain? Tonight, we turn the page on Don Knotts' remarkable journey, exploring the gentle moments and unspoken truths behind his final years. This video is a deep dive, and some truths are going to break your myths about him. Let's start from his tragic childhood years you forgot. Born in 1924 in Morgantown, West Virginia, Jesse Donald Knotts entered a world already heavy with shadows. His father, a farmer broken by schizophrenia and alcoholism, ruled the home with erratic terror. Don endured nights of whispered threats and glinting knives, a childhood where safety was a fantasy. "I lived in a constant state of panic," he later confessed. That panic rooted deep, sprouting into lifelong anxiety and hypochondria. Yet, within this crucible of fear, Don discovered humor. At 13, he took up ventriloquism, crafting a wooden dummy named Denny to voice the courage he couldn't muster himself. It was his first step toward turning pain into performance. I know it's different from your beliefs, but his escape from this life is also special. Don's escape came through comedy. After a stint in the Army, where he entertained troops with skits, he landed on the Steve Allen Show in the 1950s. His nervous man bit, a twitchy everyman unraveling under imaginary pressure, won hearts instantly. Then, in 1960, the Andy Griffith Show called. As Barney Fife, Don didn't just play a deputy. He embodied every quaking, well-meaning soul who ever fumbled their way through life. With Andy Griffith as his steady foil, Don's Barney became a legend. 5 Emmys, a generation's laughter, and a mirror to his own insecurities. "Barney was me," Don once said. "All that nervousness, that was real. Please don't mind, because the price of his fame will even surprise you more." Success didn't silence Don's demons. Pre-performance jitters gripped him so fiercely, he sometimes vomited before shows. In the 1950s, he leaned on anti-anxiety pills, a dependency that shadowed him for years. Hypochondria gnawed at him too. He'd call doctors over a cough, convinced it was fatal. His second life, Laura Lee, remembered, he'd joke about dying, but you could see the fear in his eyes. Comedy was his armor, but it couldn't always hold. Still, Don pressed on, channeling his fragility into roles that made vulnerability universal. And then came a disaster. In 1981, at 57, Don faced a foe he couldn't outwit: macular degeneration. The disease blurred his vision, stealing the expressive face that defined his craft. For a man whose wide-eyed panic was his trademark, it was a gut punch. Depression followed, days spent in darkened rooms, wrestling with despair. He thought he'd lose everything, Laura Lee said. But Don fought back. He adapted, memorized scripts by ear, and kept working, his defiance a quiet roar against the fading light. By 2005, Don was nearly blind, his lungs strained by pneumonia. Yet he took roles in That's a Vinci Show in Las Vegas, hiding oxygen tanks off camera, too proud to let weakness show. His body was failing, but his spirit held firm. As death loomed, Don prepared one last act, a moment that would distill his life's work into a single, perfect laugh. What would it be? The world would soon find out. After this tragic life, it's time to reveal his final moments. In the quiet confines of Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, as the final curtain drew near, Don Knotts summoned the last vestiges of his comedic genius. Even as his body faltered, Don's spirit remained unbroken. At 80, he faced a double blow: lung cancer and pulmonary fibrosis, conditions that would have sidelined most. Yet, he kept his struggles private, even from his lifelong friend Andy Griffith. Don didn't want pity or fuss. He craved the dignity and independence that had defined him since his West Virginia childhood. Nearly blind from macular degeneration and tethered to oxygen tanks for every breath, he refused to step off the stage. In 2005, he appeared on That City Show and One of Two, Las Vegas. Concealing his oxygen tanks off camera, His castmates none the wiser. His hands might have trembled, his vision faded, but his timing, that remained impeccable. Each performance was a quiet rebellion against the frailty closing in, a testament to a man who lived to make others laugh, no matter the cost. Don's determination wasn't just about pride, it was about purpose. Work had always been his refuge, from the anxious boy who found solace in ventriloquism to the Hollywood icon who turned nervousness into gold. In those final years, every line delivered was a victory. Every chuckle earned a defiance of the inevitable. He wasn't just clinging to life, he was shaping it, molding it into one last encore that echoed with the laughter of decades past. Don Cott's legacy isn't measured in years, but in the smiles he left behind. As Barty Fife on Cole, The Andy Griffith Show, he crafted a character so human, nervous, bumbling, yet endlessly lovable, that he became a piece of America's soul. Those 5 Emmy Awards lining his shelf were proof of his rare alchemy, turning vulnerability into comedy that spoke to us all. Who hasn't felt like Barney at times, overconfident one moment, unraveling the next? Don made that universal, and in doing so, he etched himself into our collective memory. Beyond Mayberry, his influence stretched wide. Comedians from Jim Carrey to Tina Fey have nodded to Don's mastery of physical comedy and pitch-perfect delivery. His jittery energy in films like The Ghost and Mr. Chicken or The Incredible Mr. Wimpet still delights, proving humor doesn't age. Even in his last role, voicing Mayor Turkey Lurkey in Disney's podcast, Chicken Little, his voice carried that unmistakable spark, a final thread in a tapestry of laughter that spans generations. For Don Knotts, humor was more than a craft. It was a lifeline. It pulled him through a childhood shadowed by fear, steadied him against the anxiety that dogged his steps, and softened the blows of aging and illness. That nervous energy we loved on screen, it wasn't just an act. It was Don, raw and real, channeling his struggles into something beautiful. In his final years, as his body betrayed him, humor became his shield. He wielded it not to deny pain, but to rise above it, to carve out moments of joy where others saw only loss. That deathbed joke about hospital food outranking doctors as the real menace wasn't a fluke. It was Don distilled, quick, clever, and defiant. For Karen and his stepmother, it turned tears into laughter, if only for a breath. For the rest of us, it's a lesson. Humor can be a bridge over the hardest days, a fragile yet fierce act of resistance. Don showed us that laughter isn't just entertainment, it's survival. It's how you face a world that's too big, too dark, with your head high and a grin on your face. Don Knotts left us on February 24th, 2006, but his story doesn't end there. It lives in every rerun of Barney pacing the sheriff's office, every giggle at Mr. Limpet's underwater antics, every memory of that last laugh in a hospital room. At 65, we've seen enough of life to know it's not all sitcoms and punchlines. There's loss, there's ache, there's the slow march of time. Don knew that too, better than most. Yet he chose to meet it with a quip and a wink, proving that even when the credits roll, you can leave the audience smiling. If you loved watching Don's tragic life, don't miss 20 unknown secrets about the Beverly Hillbillies. These 20 secrets are even more surprising than 99% of the people don't know. Like this video and subscribe to the channel for more legacy stories. See you again.